actors who are never the same after a role. It's easy for those who haven't done it before to think that acting is just getting paid to pretend, but there's a lot more to it than that. It can be an all-consuming skill, and like everything that needs tremendous effort, it's easy to go too far. The experience of preparing for and recuperating from these critically praised, frequently award-winning performances is a joy to see, but it alters the actors permanently. In this video, allow me to show you actors who are never the same after a role. Let's get started. Starting off with number 10, Isabelle Adjani in Possession. A horror fan knows the subway scene in Azari Zoukhali's 1981 film Possession is one of the most terrifying and disturbing body horror scenes ever seen on film. And if you haven't watched the movie yet, prepare to be amazed because you're in for a treat. Isabelle Adjani received a César Award for her portrayal of Anna, but the role's severe physical and mental demands made recovery exceedingly difficult. Later, Adjani told a French magazine that it took her years of treatment to get Anna out of her system, and that she would never do another part like that again. 9. Adrien Brody in The Pianist. Adrien Brody's physical change from the 2002 film The Pianist is evident, but the actor has also spoken about the immense mental and emotional strain of playing Holocaust survivor pianist Władysław Simplin, for which he received an Academy Award for Best Actor in 2003. Did you know that in order to prepare for this movie, he gave up his residence, sold his vehicle, deactivated his phones, and even traveled to Europe? However, he found the emotional impact of hunger to be the most shocking and toughest task to overcome. I've experienced loss, I've experienced sadness in my life, but I don't know the desperation that comes with hunger, he said. There were moments where he wasn't sure if he'd get over the experience with his sanity intact, and in the end, he said it took a year and a half to settle back into things. 8. Johnny Depp in Fear of Loathing in Las Vegas. When Johnny Depp was offered the role of H.S. Thomas in Fear of Loathing in Las Vegas, he leaped at the chance to play one of his idols and a fellow Kentuckian. Depp essentially moved into Thomas's basement to study his mannerisms and a way of life in order to prepare for the role. Depp's uncanny deception of the cast and crew, afraid that he was in over his head. By the time production began, people wondered if Depp and his co-star Blanca del Toro were tripping on acid, since they were so dedicated to their roles. Depp was still in Thompson's gear a year after film completion. Thompson and Depp remained close friends until Thompson committed suicide in 2005, when Depp allegedly paid $3 million for Thompson's cremations to be shot out of a cannon. 7. Val Kilmer in The Doors. Kilmer began his preparation for his role as a rock star, Jim Morrison, in Oliver Stone 1991 film The Doors by studying 50 of the band's songs. He said he had spent hours in the studio studying Morrison's vocal performances and viewing endless films of Morrison's interviews in order to gain a sense of his personality and mannerisms. The cast and crew referred to him as Jim on site, and many stated towards this conclusion of filming they couldn't distinguish the difference between Morrison and Kilmer's singing voices. However, after the shoot, Kilmer stated that he needed to go to treatment to get Jim out of his system. Kilmer knows Jim Morrison better than Jim Morrison ever knew himself, according to rock producer Paul Rothchild, who knew Morrison. 6 on the list, we have Colin Firth, The King's Speech. Colin Firth portrays future King of England, George VI, in The King's Speech, and he has to deliver a number of speeches in addition to doing a number of other royal responsibilities. Because a movie about a man giving a flawless speech in front of millions of people and then retiring to his massive castle to high-five everyone he knows would be a little boring. The movie has a villain in the form of George's near debilitating stammer, which ruins nearly every speech he gives until he hires a vocal coach. George and his almost identical speech impairment in real life, which he never fully recovered from. Firth became so engrossed in a character that he revealed in an interview that he still stammers when speaking informally, even during the interview. It was worth mentioning that this occurred in May of 2011, 8 months after the film's initial release in September of the previous year. We assume Firth has overcome his stutter, based on how perfectly he enunciates every phrase while striking people in the throat with his pistol in Kingsman: The Secret Service in 2014. Based on how perfectly he enunciates every phrase while striking people in the throat with his pistol in Kingsman: The Secret Service in 2014. 5th, Hugh Laurie in House. House's creators publicly stated during the casting process that they sought a quintessentially American actor to play the titular Dr. House soon after choosing British actor Hugh Laurie. Laurie went all out when it came to portraying the cane-wielding house by walking with a limp, so much so that despite 8 years of featuring a limp on screen, the actor still walked with one in 2015. Laurie allegedly tried to lighten the burden on his leg by swapping which leg was carrying it on occasion, something he claims no one noticed or called him out on during production over the years since the program finished. Laurie's acting is apparently so brilliant that he can get people to forget his British accent and the fact that he doesn't always limp with the same leg, despite the fact that it was a distinguishing feature of the character. Now that's talent. Moving on to number 4, we have Sarah Paulson in The People vs. O.J. Simpson and American Horror Story. Sarah Paulson, leading part on The People vs. O.J. Simpson, won her a lot of praise. Paulson had to smoke in both roles, in Simpson and American Horror Story. But here's the catch. Did you know that Paulson didn't smoke in real life? Or at least didn't until she started smoking many times a day on set. After the initial revolution of smoking for the first time wore off, Paulson revealed in an interview when Stephen Colbert that she began to want cigarettes for real, getting anxious to film sequences that needed her to smoke, because the character Paulson was portraying, Marcia Clark, was a well-known chain smoker in real life. This is referred to as method acting. In certain quarters, unfortunately, it turns into a cigarette addiction. The whole experience was described as Paulson as a genuine situation, which is a euphemism for something that would normally be a problem for someone who isn't a movie star who can't hire someone to smack smokes out of their mouth once the shoot is over. Number 3 on the list is Heath Ledger on Dark Knight. Heath Ledger's portrayal of the Joker in The Dark Knight earned him an Academy win for Best Supporting Actor. Sadly, it was a posthumous award, since Ledger died in January 2008 of an accidental drug overdose. Rumors circulated in the years following Ledger's untimely death that the part's preparation had played a factor in his death, despite the fact that they vehemently denied many members of his own family. It's difficult not to see Ledger's pretended descent into lunacy as detrimental to his general health. He kept to himself in tight seclusion before filming began, keeping a recording of frightening pictures to enter the domain of a psychopath. Even when it wasn't on set, Ledger struggled to get rid of the Joker. He told the New York Times, "I probably slept 2 hours a night." In truth, Ledger's death was caused by a combination of painkillers and sedatives. Second, Bob Hoskins in Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Hoskins, who spent hours a day talking and acting alongside imaginary individuals who weren't actually present, in addition to pretending to have a great name throughout filming. To cope with dissonance of consistency hearing voices but never seeing them while filming, Hoskins learned how to hallucinate. That Roger and other characters he started alongside were actually there. When the filming was over, Hoskins began talking to himself and even imagining that Roger was in the same room, causing his doctor to urge him to take a vacation from acting. Lastly, we have James Cromwell in Babe. Cromwell landed one of the rare major film parts in 1995's Babe, in which he was overshadowed by a talking pig. But it all worked out since the picture was not only a smash blockbuster, but it also altered Cromwell's life, transforming him from a vegetarian to a vegan. Cromwell has described the experience from filming the video as a changing moment in his life, noting that the interview with Vince, that witnessing a young piglet respond to being placed on a piece of grass, had a significant impact on him. Since then, Cromwell has been a staunch advocate for animal rights, particularly for pigs, who naturally now hold a special place in his heart, owing it to Babe and its sequel. What do you think of the after effects of these actors after their movie roles? Let us know in the comment section below. That's all for today. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.